a Q&A with our wonderful friend Catherine Mary Stewart, my new friend Damian Maffei. I was just with a fan, and this guy over here, Michael C. Williams. So we're just going to have a little talk, maybe open up the floor for some questions. Everyone having fun today? Yeah! Well, we all know Chris, the guy who puts this whole thing together, but I just want to give a shout out to my connection to Chris, a wonderful guy named Ray. Right, where are you over there? Everyone know Ray? Yes. And preparing for this day, it hit me. I found an old hard drive and I realized how much free work Ray has done for all of us with editing or just all kinds of stuff. But Ray, you're the man. You realize you have your finger on 10 projects that are covered here. But, so I gotta ask, Damian, I was talking to your boy, Henry, and, where's Henry? There he is, yes. So we all know, horror fans know, you've been in a ton of movies, but I think recently it's Haunt and Strangers that are the big ones you're known for, right? Yeah. Everyone's seen Haunt? You can't avoid it. It's on every channel. Who's seen Haunt? Woo! Woo! But Henry and I will leave here now. But Henry and I were like, he's like, no, my character's wearing the movie. And I don't remember what the character's name is, but in Strangers 2, does your character have a name? That's kind of iconic now.
He's the man in the mask.
It's original.
That's what it was in the script.
Okay. The man in the mask. He's the killer. And I know that you have dabbled in stunts. Are you doing that fire gag at the end where they're driving the line?
I don't drive the car on fire. I pulled it up a couple of feet on fire, but if it's crashing or really burning, I don't need to do that. So. Right, that's stuff, you know.
I think everyone in the world has seen Strangers 2, right? I mean,
yeah. So leave here now.
Well, we have nothing more to talk about.
It's a culture.
No, but it's a nasty bad guy. And are they going to bring you back, or are there going to be new bad guys for the Strangers sequels? Because now it's a cottage industry.
Right, well, it's a completely different group now, and has the rights to it, so... it was my favorite times for the summer camp, too, but one was enough.
Okay, I got it.
All the other bad guys.
See, we have crossed paths so many times, but never have officially met, and Damian has become the guy, like, you be in my movie, even if it's a small part, but I didn't realize that strictly the weird synchronicity, you were in an early Joe Zazzo movie. Joe Zazzo was here. Joe, where's Joe Zazzo?
No!
He's not here. Yeah. So, going back to this infamous movie, which we should name, well, alright, Nikos the Impaler. But, can you go back to that picture? How old are you? Because it must have been 9.
Thank you. Nikos the Impaler, yeah, that was 2002. I was in acting school at William Esper Studio, wonderful place, fantastic place. This is before they remodeled and moved, so we didn't really have like paper towels or anything. It was good. That was on 35th. Now they have like lounge and a lounge area and stuff. So I was in acting school, and I would talk to my friends on AOL, you know, AOL. And my friend Marcus said I got hired to do the effects in this German splatter director's first movie in New York. And I was like, oh my God, like you gotta get me in that. Like I'll audition and whatever. He was like, all right, I'll talk to him. And then the next day, they said you could play one of the cops. And I was like, they don't know what I look like, they don't know what I sound like. This is gonna be my big break. So I show up in, I think, Mineola, and I meet Joe Zazzo. And he gives me a blue work shirt, button up, and then he staples paper and my PD badge on my shoulder.
That sounds like a Joe Zasso movie, actually.
Yeah, I mean, that's a special movie. And I wound up doing a whole bunch of stuff in there, some effects, some sound. I held a boom pole. I was body double for 7 hours. I laid on the floor, blood on me, and then another body. So,
I know him so well. I just had to hear about what a nightmare this shoot was. And Felissa Rose is a friend of mine. Anyone remember Felissa Rose from the Sleepaway Camp movie? Yeah. So in Deacons the Impaler, Felissa is like the hero, but Joe Zasso is the male hero, right? He's the like masculine guy. Already laughing. I think Joe, from the scenes that I've seen, you were so tired from producing, and the script calls for you to constantly be saving Felissa things, but if you watch the last half of the movie, it's her killing you. And you're like, and she ends up being the hero, so,
what I most remember is that, so when I got the part, my character's name was Cole, okay? It was Cole and Johnson, 2 cops. And I was like, no, the character has a name, I got dialogue, and then when I saw the movie in the credits, I was credited as a brunette guy. And yeah, and then every now and then, we'll come up with a brunette guy.
Well, his genre credits has their little fan base. There are so many people that have like their own fan base of you, but I found that there was this little slasher movie I grew up with on VHS that was like unrated to see called The Mutilator in 1984, and my spies tell me, because I have friends down south, when they were shooting this movie called Mutilator 2 recently, that surprisingly show up. You and Terry Pratchett show up. And Wicked and Burners.
It was very mutilated. Yeah. But I'm not big on nostalgia, but like, I had the video store cut out of that. So I was like, I have to do this, and bring back the original film. But it was 90s. And then COVID pushed that movie. And then that guy did the movie, and then calls me up, and goes around, Jack and Julie, and the movie and so we replace him with another older actor. Jerry Cooper's Robert. Yeah. So I called Terry up.
You know, Terry was Bernie and we get Terry. Always at that time.
In a long time. Fishing, great food.
But anyway, let's face it, some of you look like you were born in 1969, like me. You remember the Mutilator. And how's it have this, I mean, I think I spoiled it, I said that you would hear the movie. What my spies tell me.
I think it just got distribution.
So look for Mutilator 2, aka Fall Break. And I just found out that you're sort of from the same area. You grew up a little bit around the Boston area.
Why did you grow up in Lebanon? I left in 2008. So I've been doing
Oh, okay. Because they just announced this amazing restoration 4K negative. They got the rights to it in a slasher that I thought I only remember called Night School. It's like the first movie to be shot in Boston, and I posted about it. You were like, right around the corner from my house. And so I'm in the process of trying to get Rachel Ward to relive probably the most embarrassing 2 weeks ago. But I think she was told it was a drama. After like 2 shower scenes, like
when I'm in the street, it seems like there are a couple of scenes. But my new friend, Michael here, I've never heard of it, but it's something called the Blair Witch Project. And I'm not saying that because that was a while ago. You've done so much since then, but I have a friend, a convention friend, who's all things Blair Witch Project, named Matt Palsy, and I think he wrote the book, Blair Witch. So I gave him a call last night, said I'm going to be meeting your friend, and he's like, okay, so, yeah. I said, I'll contact him right now, and, to say hello. He's like, oh, he's probably not going to show me quiet. So, among other things, you got a picture out now called Ghost.
Ghost Game, which is not as big as his film, so if you haven't seen his recent Lionsgate film, you haven't seen Ghost Game, so leave right now, go home. Ghost Game is streaming everywhere. It's a small indie horror film that was shot in Maryland and executive produced actually by one of the rich guys.
Florida Sanchez?
Yeah, so they have like a whole film constituent down there.
Sanchez is 7 feet tall.
He is 7 feet. He's 6'7". He's a monster and a gentle giant, right?
That guy invented the subgenre of horror that people have found footage stuff. So, and you've worked on a bunch of his pictures I've seen. You've worked on a bunch of his later pictures.
I'm very fortunate because both their sophomore films they asked me to do. One of my favorite films of all time is called Altered, which is very unknown, but that's probably my favorite role. And then I raised my kids and changed my career and still always held my SAG card, like called my agent and said no more for right now. I'm actually a school counselor. I'm a middle school counselor. I love helping kids. I had a lot of help growing up. But in 2018, an agent called me and said, hey, do you want to work? And I said, I can't. I said, why not? I said, I'm on a school schedule. And he's like, well, what about the summer? I said, cool. So then I got a show, FBI, like the first audition in 8 years. So I was like, all right, that's pretty. I had 1,000 of them and only got 2, so 1 and 1 is pretty good. And then I talked to Ed and I said, hey, I'm getting back in the game. And he said, I want you to do a cameo on something called Satanic Suspense.
Satanic Suspense.
So that's where I met.
See the commercial for that. That name is great, and I found out that you were in it.
It's a fun anthology film that they put together a couple years ago. And that's where I met Carlo Glorioso, who was one of the producers on that. Ed introduced me to him, and then they said, can you work in February? And I said, I have 1 week break. So they rearranged their film schedule, which was really cool to get me to Maryland to shoot Ghost Game. So yeah, I have some stuff out there, not as much as these fine folks here, but still in the game, still having fun with it. I'm really happy to be here. Thanks for all the Blair Witch love.
Ed was the first director to reach out to me to tell me I didn't get the part. I was going in a different direction. But like they never do that. They don't do that. Later on, and he did that as I appreciate it so much. He's a real one.
Interesting thing I learned about you is because for many, many years after graduate school, I was a professor at the New York Film Academy and eventually became chairperson. And there was always a rumor, they put it on the cover of their brochures that you had gone there to learn 16 millimeter to prepare for your role in the Blair Witch Project. And it turns out it was like totally fake advertising, so I apologize for that. But you also teach a bunch of things in acting, about comedy improv and...
So yeah, I studied acting all over the country, New York, LA, Win Hampton, Beverly Brown, Leslie Kahn, and I just kind of took the porridge that they made and made it my own, although none of it's any of our own. Like, I just share what I know. I teach adult scene study in the Hudson Valley. Mostly I really like working with kids in middle school, high school. I also do adults comedy improv because I have roots in comedy improv. So my wife and I have a small studio that we do on the side. We also direct shows in our local neighborhood for our high school and our middle school. So we've always been in it, but to come back professionally over the last 5 years has been a lot of fun.
So I went to your webpage for that, and you also teach something on public speaking, which I might need a half-hour crash course. How much is that going to cost?
Public speaking is, it's funny because corporate people during Zoom sessions now continually, they get really nervous in front of people staring at the screen. So I did a talk after one of the plays. I directed my wife to just thank the kids and thank the parents. And a mom reached out to me afterwards, this is 5-6 years ago, and said, I'm the head of this giant, massive art department for this big corporation, and I always have to speak in front of the board, and it freezes me up, and I freak out. Can you help me? So I helped her, and then she brought me into her corporation, and I started doing that.
Your advice worked.
So if you guys are ever looking for side gigs, public speaking, the acting, really, I mean, people really need help.
The only advice I ever have is that you just look at the audience and
The Brady Bunch, that's from the Brady Bunch.
And this one is made a comment. And I realize it's a thing called Brady Bunch or something else. I've seen people cry when they met you because you were a big part of the original dating process. And that's how some people look at you as CPNassau.
Right. Not the original days of life, it's probably started in the 50s, but in the 80s, I was the original Kate Brady who became quite iconic, and is still around to this day. I got it as soon as I left, she got really popular.
The name got popular. I remember anyone I know named Kayla, turns out their parents' name.
I used to get funny pictures in the mail all the time, because Kate was kind of a unique name at the time, and I didn't know baby Kayla. I get so many baby pictures. And now it's been a couple of generations, and a lot of Kaylas, it's kind of like a normalized name now. And I'll say, did your mom name you after Kate Brady?
Always, yes. My niece.
Never always anymore. That's the drag. It's like these kids that are like 18, like, I'm like, what do you mean you don't know? But anyway, that was fun.
Well, one time we were having a talk, and I said, whatever happened to Kayla? We said, that's interesting because my character went to the bathroom and never came out. Meaning you were fired.
That's right.
But if you hadn't been fired, I'm sorry. You would have been in last SciFi or anything like that. So.
Hold on a moment.
Okay. But you were fired.
Yes, I was fired. I never really liked doing something. It was too hard.
28 pages to learn.
But I actually, while I was still doing soap opera, I was cast in The Last Starfighter.
Last start. Anyone remember that one?
So my transition from being an unemployed soap actor to moving forward was quite seamless. And then Last Starfighter kind of put me on the map in terms of being a movie actress, and things sort of snowballed after that for gigs, and the 90s, which was great. And then I did Toyo, and everything stopped.
Well, wait, that's where we get into the kind of Catherine Mary Stewart, because, you know, of course, we did it for 70s, but you and I worked on something recently. Is Bobby Heckman here? Bobby Heckman?
Robert Heckman?
Oh, there he is. He's making these amazing Friday the 13th films, and we were directing a couple of the seconds of it. So, but we were working on them together, and we showed up at this location. He had tricked some families, and yeah, he could shoot about a farm. And I remember the mom came out. And I remember the mom came out. But she knew from like the TV miniseries, all the early miniseries. That's like Catherine Mary Stewart that a lot of us stuff. We were the face of the whole movies for a long time. Passion in Paradise with if you watch it, you will be gay by the end of it.
I did one with Joe Collins called Sins, where I played the young Joe Collins. I mean, because we look so much alike.
Wait, have you really seen Sins?
Oh my gosh. It was,
Because it's split into two parts. It's split into hers as a 20-year-old and then hers as a 25-year-old, and suddenly you turn into a 50-year-old.
they literally pulled on me in close-up, and then they came to her in close-up. It's like, wow, you know, it feels so different.
And, you know, she was 100 years old.
Thank you. So, I played the girl next door, and I played the top of the and I played a lot of my Hallmark life artists and drove them all. We couldn't handle it.
We sat down to cut a new reel for her once. She had all these clips of my old movies, and it was just funny because there were 3 movies. I think all of them had Eric Roberts in it. You know, like Catherine Mary, I'm the film here in it. Sure. I just saw you on that. So I remember you were shooting a long episode and a movie there and recording all. You did a really fast turnaround. So that is not what you need there. But it was any questions? The Charles Bronson picture.
So I did a movie in Vancouver, like 91, I think it was, called Cerebral. And it's based on a book, and Christopher Reeve and Charles Bronson were in it. And actually, yes, I had a great time. It was like a turn of the century thing, so I got to do the whole makeup and hair and dress and everything, which was super fun. So I was sort of like a you enjoyed the people. And then Christopher Reeve and I, there's a big collision in the middle of the ocean between 2 boats, and Christopher Reeve and I end up in this little paddle boat together, starving until Charles Bronson shows up in his pirate ship, what's his name, and we become hostages on his ship. But no, it was super fun. We shot on this small ship, saw Vancouver, the ocean, it was amazing. And Charles Bronson and I became really good friends, and my husband would play golf with him all the time. We loved him, I'm still really good friends with his wife. And Christopher Reeve became sort of an love interest on the movie. He was great. This was way before his accident. And so I feel really privileged to have worked with both of those together, for sure. Yeah, it was pretty cool. 9 months. It was the 3rd movie I did. The first movie I did, I was just a dancer in London, I was training, and I graduated from high school.
You can see the apple.
Oh my God, it's great.
Open doors for you and immediately close them.
Run up and show your tree.
Actually, it was amazing. At the time when I went to LA after Seattle, just the fact that I'd been the lead role in a feature film opened so many doors for me. So that was very good.
It's like an East German Israeli movie about the future, but the future was what year?
1994. Silly ski movie called and then went back to London because I was just going to continue my dancing. I didn't take any for granted. I thought I'd just be a dancer. And I did have an agent because of the album. She sent me out on this audition where we met. There was like 3 of us, and he just done Rocky recently, and so we were all perplexed because of Sylvester Stallone. And somehow he cast me, and I was just beside myself. I was an extra. But I mean, I had this little role in a department store in London. I got to work opposite Rutger Hauer, who says, I'm selling perfume over this counter in this department store, and Rutger Hauer leans over and says, oh, so pretty, something like that. As he's shoving a bomb under my counter, this was sort of establishing this character as a really horrible human being. He was the terrorist in the movie.
Terrible, and also, if you're a horror fan, that entire scene wound up in a movie called Terror in the Isles for some reason. So a lot of us know. And I found out that you're dubbed because you're like the salesman. You're like, oh yes, would you like to smell it? Yes, yes, yes. Thank you, John.
had done it in LA, and they had something.
In our film? Yeah.
Suffrages, but huge explosion after Sly, my good friend Sly, he said, would you like to watch the shot of his art source looking? So so he pulls me out. We should have shot it in this island. There were cameras everywhere. It's 35 millimeter, and he put me right next to the main camera of this, and he said, "You got a really good view here." He was trying to impress me, and just as the story moves, he pulls me in front of the camera so I get an even better angle, and ripped the shot of that camera, and then took off because he knew what he'd done. And I was standing there going, "What?" I was so mad at me. So that was my lovely relationship with Sly.
Bomb, it's a lovely right back.
Catherine Mary put a bomb.
So, what is it like though? Because you've been acting for so long. The apple was so forgotten that because I see you, I know, girl needs a day job, but you have been the lead in a $20 million musical, right? And then, so what is it like nowadays?
I'm always act like one.
Lincoln Center, there were like 2,000 gay people there singing about the actor, they all know the words to it. What is that like? I know it was just a gay career, right?
It was an unusual gig because it was unexpected, and it was just one of those, I didn't know what I was doing and stuff like that. And it's really very late in the day when it was released, but it was like, I want to say around 2000, somebody comes together and said, we worked for some entertainment magazine or something. He said, did you realize that the Apple is like this cult film and it screams all the time? It's sort of like Rock and Roll Picture Show, midnight shows, and I'm like, excuse me, what are you talking about? It was bizarre. It was, 20 years after I did it. And as it turns out, all those people screens at midnights in New York. After that, there was one scheduled to screening, and my husband and I went just to see what was the deal. Sat in the back, and it was unbelievable. It was going into something like the Rock and Roll Picture Show. We were dressed up, we knew all the music and the lyrics, and it screened twice at Lincoln Center. And once with, we're not going to go along in Europe and did a whole retrospective of, and of course did a retrospective of their movies, and we were on stage doing Q&A, and that's I had seen them for 30 years or something, and that was the last time we saw them. People died soon after that, they were here.
They've been here for so long, but I look cool sometimes. Like, you know Catherine Stewart from the Apple? But anyway, so tell us more. It's called Victim No More, the picture that I was helping out and you were directing, right? And what else do we need to know about that? That we have to follow. Are you done?
Oh God, no. This is the movie that never ends. Well, it's a very small budget film that Bob and Ben wrote, and this is the second one. It's the first one was called Victims No More, which is the short.
40 minutes.
This one is a full-length feature film with 4 huge segments from different time periods that sort of reflect the Friday the 13th franchise. And I think he's done a really great job in the writing. And in Victims No More, he gave me a little bit of directing to do because he knows that's what I would like to do. And this one, where I'm sort of billed as the co-director, so I'm doing a lot more. It's a lot complicated. It's a lot more work. And it's and they, I think it's really fabulous stuff.
You're making it better. You're making it better.
But anyway, we can we'll catch up on the news on that. We're going to update on Facebook and the internet. Yeah.
And there's an Indiegogo campaign to contribute.
There's an Indiegogo campaign. It's called Loose Ends. So, yeah, I mean, and you know, it would be great, but it's called Loose Ends, a sequel to Victims of
Anyone else have any questions? Yes.
What was it like keeping the mystery around the Blair Witch? Like it was real?
We're fortunate with the timing on that because the internet basically told you it was true, so you believed it in 1999. Not necessarily you, but the country, right? Because it was sort of, I wouldn't call it the dawn of the internet, but it wasn't what it is now by any stretch. For us as actors, it was actually difficult because we used our real names. We were cast as John, Bill, and Jane. And then right before production started, they said, hey, what if you guys use your real names just to feel a little more authentic? And we're like, yeah, easy, no problem. Not thinking about, what if it's this giant thing? So it became this giant thing, and then they listed us as deceased on IMDb. And we weren't allowed to talk to press, so you've got this movie that's the #1 at the box office for the first 2 weeks, and you can't even do an interview. So you're a young actor like, hey, that was me, and we were acting. By the time it kind of breaks that we weren't acting, the news was already over, like the world had kind of moved on. So I remember sitting in front of the head of casting at CBS in Los Angeles in 2001, and she really was like, come on, just tell me you were scared. And I go, well, that's my job, but I knew they were over there, and we would wake up and be like, oh, I don't want to do this. Like, obviously, right, we had code words for scenario, the break scenario. So it felt like we were defending the fact that we were acting. And you never want to be a young actor at auditions defending that you know how to act. I was trained anyway, Heather was trained. So it was as amazing as it was, because it doesn't work without that, it's a little bit of a catch-22, to be honest with you. Because career-wise, it was like, it was the real world and cops. So we must be just in that genre, because nobody knew what to make of us. So it was difficult to kind of go to auditions and prove that I could do it. You know how when you audition, you like overact? All I did was like, I'm sorry, I just couldn't relax.
No, you were someone who got killed making that movie. I mean, people forget how effective that acting was. I was a graduate film student at NYU. It was off the presses. This movie has reinvented how marketing and stuff are going. Everything now is based on you guys.
Yeah, they had a website that you would go to after you saw a snippet. We had a lot of help from John Pearson. John and Janet Pearson, big heroes of independent film, and Spike Lee in the early days of indie film. He ran a clip of this thing on something called Split Screen. And that led you to the website, and the website led you to we had submitted to the directors and producers real pictures of us growing up. You know, not knowing any of this would blow up. So any research you did, you found we were dead for a long time.
The girl I went opening weekend, sold out. The girl I went with, Nicole, if you're here. The movie ended. She came out, she said, so you think it's real?
What people don't remember is that when it came out, people don't go to see movies, they go to see films. And I remember they had a display of like 60 millimeter units. And sitting there nodding sagely. I think the biggest crime in the Blair Witch Project, it ended up making $1 billion with like Blockbuster Video, and the hipsters don't want it anymore. Like, I never watched that DreamWorks crap, you know. So it was you were dead. So, but did you see the remake? I just gotta ask.
There hasn't been like a uniform remake, but I did watch there's 2 follow-up films, and I watched both of them. I actually, they got Joe Burns or the second one, but they did it really, really fast. Artisan was like, made $250 million, let's go make another $250 million in 10 months from now, which You don't do that.
Well, that I want to ask you about.
But Berlinger, right, he did a documentary film.
Berlinger is the most famous documentarian to direct a sequel, but they didn't do the sequel as a documentary. They did it as a narrative.
Yeah, and I think he got boned. I don't know the whole story, but I think he got a little bit. And I was excited because they also used no-name, unknown actors, which I love. It did okay. This 2016 version, I actually liked. It was like our film on steroids, I call it.
Yeah.
And I'm getting young unknown actors that were very good, very
All
well.
directors, they went on to be very successful.
Yep.
So, how do our new fans or new people discover you? How do we all find you online? Do you all look like we can go to you have a site for your
You
school.
can go to Instagram, Michael C. Williams, CEE, MCW Acting Studio. Michael C. Williams, if you want to follow along my acting journey, which is fun. We're doing a short called 6th Avenue at the end of this summer. We're shooting that in Brooklyn and Staten Island. It's a subway ride to hell, which is exciting. And it's a lot of folks that worked on the Terrifier films. They met on the Terrifier films. I met them last summer. It's a small indie. It's got a campaign out there. You can go support it. That's 6th Avenue Film on Instagram. I love doing small indie films with young filmmakers, and they're doing a film company that they're starting that supports LGBTQ+ and trans filmmakers. So that's an important piece of this as well for me. So those first be cool. Thanks.
And Damian, I guess for you, we just turn on the TV because you're in everything.
Yeah, just turn on the TV now. Why are you so good? You can find me on Instagram, Damian Maffei. On your way out, you can see how it's spelled on the back.
And we still have Milo there too. I'm excited about that too. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, Instagram, Twitter, the most thing ever invented. Twitter's awful. I mean, I'm on Twitter, but I gotta get out of it. It's awful. Instagram, I think I have it. I don't know. Anyway.
These kids today. Any final questions before you get the stage back up with me? Yes, sir. Okay. Sorry, yes, person.
Question. You did the last firefight. What is your favorite scene in the film and what is your least favorite scene in the film?
My favorite, so he's asking, so in Last Starfighter, favorite scene, least favorite scene. So my favorite scene is kind of a sequence where Alex and I are at the lake line there, and he's actually the beta unit, but I don't know that he's a beta unit yet. And we're making out, and he doesn't know what he's doing, so he can hear Jack kind of seducing some woman on the other side of the lake, so he can say that stuff. I slap him. The alien from outer space comes down and shoots him, and he said, look, I'm a baby, blah, blah, blah. And then he gets shot, and a little squirt of green junk that goes to sleep. And then the whole sequence where we get up, get into the truck, zoom off to destroy the alien before he can send a message back to outer space. I just love that. It has everything. It's got action, it's got romance, it's got humor, and then at the very end where I look into the sky and the narrator is blowing and it has that love gods throwing, and there's an explosion behind you. Love it! It was fantastic. My least favorites was probably when the Starfighter lands in the trailer park, and we didn't. That was all put in with CGI after the fact. So the director was like, okay, just look up in this general area. It's a spaceship, and they had Los Angeles and the surrounding areas, basically a desert. They had this giant fan just blowing dirt as the thing lands. So the wind and everything, you can't even really see it, but it's like dirt is blowing in my face, and I was blinded by it all. They got bright lights. I mean, ultimately it works, and it's a great scene, but that was not a lot of fun to shoot.
see Jaws revenge.
Very nice here. He's also a very good friend.
Very good friend.
Yes. Yeah, so he's just one of the most lovely human beings that I know. I saw him a few months ago. We did a weekend at the Bernie's reunion, and that was a lot of fun. And he's always the one who's so nice. And the other guys just kind of take off. They don't really need to do it. Terry takes me under his arm. He's very sweet.
What a character you've been for like 30 years prior to getting to Bernie's, and he really earned his status as an editor.
He was on Friday, so one of the episodes of Friday that there were number seven. Yeah, tells the story about how he just hated every second of that episode shot at night in the rain, which I understand. Yeah, so much fun to do. I've never done like a comedy or anything like that. When I first read the script, I thought, this is cool. There's a dead guy everywhere. I just thought it was sick. But of course, like especially the scene where he flies out of the motorboat and is dragged behind, hitting the police, and they're listening to the album. And the rubber is that.
That's one of the things I mean in Poland. Like in Polish bars, it plays all the time. It's like, look at the Bernie's.
I mean, it's really stood the test of time, I guess. You know, they use it it's referenced everywhere. But so it's really fun to have been a part of that. It's kind of iconic in its own way. And like Terry was really wonderful to work with. I always say, I mean, to be an actor who's playing dead, and every time he's on the screen, surrounded by all this other stuff, and nobody's looking at anybody else but him, that is the sign of an incredible actor. And he was I had a lot of fun. I didn't work a lot on the movie, but they kept me on location. So every time I came onto the set, I was just so excited to work. Meanwhile, you know, they had all the other characters who were like every single day, they were just like, shut up. Yes, we were in Wilmington, North Carolina, we shot that. It was supposed to be the Hamptons, but yeah, we were shooting that in Wilmington. No, they did, we did Bernie's 2. Not even mentioned. Wasn't even asked. Didn't even know.
I just want to say that it's wonderful thing, biggest thing ever. We were here last year, and there was a man who came in. He was like,